What's up, guys? Part-time Gamer Dad here. Today, I'm going to give you my predictions for this Saturday's WWE Backlash from France. So to kick us off, we're going to talk about the first match announced for WWE Backlash France, and that is Damien Priest defending his World Heavyweight Championship that he won off of Drew McIntyre by cashing in his Money in the Bank at WrestleMania against main event Jay Uso. This match, I feel, is a really strong way for Damien Priest to start his World Heavyweight Championship run, especially for Jay Uso, who's really come up the ranks over the last year since separating from the Bloodline, and especially in the last 8-9 months and separating from Jimmy and the Uso tag team as a whole. Obviously, he had a lot of solo and singles run before that, especially competing against Roman, which kind of kicked off the whole Bloodline storyline when they were wrestling for the Universal Championship. And I really think this match is going to be a solid bout. I don't see a world where Jay defeats Damien Priest because there's a lot of things that are occurring in the Judgment Day storyline. I think that it'll be a really good showing. I would love for Damien Priest to win clean. I do see that there will be some Judgment Day interference, I guess, whether it's intentional or not intentional, of helping Damien Priest win, because we had that tension between Damien Priest and JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, in which Judgment Day has been told by Damien, hey, I don't need you. And is that going to come back to affect Damien Priest? Is he going to be the babyface when Judgment Day eventually implodes? Will it be Finn Balor? Finn Balor just signed this huge contract, this multi-year, very lucrative contract with a lot of money. So it's hard to say, but regardless of what happens in the Judgment Day storyline that pans out over the next few months, I see Damien Priest leaving France, leaving Backlash with the World Heavyweight title still around his waist. Next up, we have a triple threat. Bayley defending her WWE Women's Championship she won off of Io Sky at WrestleMania against her kind of friend, Naomi, and definitely not her friend, Tiffany Stratton. I think that Tiffany Stratton would be the heart choice. That's where my heart wants to go, but my head says Bayley, and I don't see a world in where Naomi wins the championship. Watch Naomi win the championship. But I think that this match has been set up as a triple threat from my perspective so that Tiffany Stratton doesn't take the pin. I would like to see Bayley get the win by pinning Naomi, or, man, this would be so awesome, let Tiffany Stratton win the title from Bayley by pinning Bayley or pinning Naomi, but let her pin the champ. How huge would that be? This first title defense on a PLE. I know she just defended it against Naomi on a SmackDown, but that ended in a schmoz because Tiffany Stratton interfered. What if we just had Tiffany Stratton win the title straight up in that triple threat, clean, or, a little bit by shenanigans where she throws Bayley out after Bayley hits the rose plant, or please God, just let her go back to the Bayley to belly, or maybe even the flying elbow drop for Macho Man. Let her basically have Naomi beat, and then Tiffany Stratton throws Bayley out, hits the prettiest moonsault, and pins Naomi to win the Women's Championship. How awesome would that be? And how great would that be, post-draft? I feel like it's been such a lackluster draft, and I would like to see a little bit of a shakeup. Something fresh, something engaging, something exciting, entertaining, and Tiffany Stratton winning the Women's Championship and starting Tiffy time with that title would be exactly what we need to get something fresh rolling. Next up, we have the first of two tag team matches. This first one is just a straight-up tag team match between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, so the newly formed RKO, against the Bloodline, the new Bloodline kind of Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. I love Tama Tonga. I like Solo Sikoa. And obviously, I love Orton and Owens. This matchup, I feel like this is a card that's pretty easy to call for the most part. I don't see Orton and Owens winning, although it would be interesting to see Solo take the pin, especially after all the things he said about Jimmy being a loser, and what we do to losers, and getting him out of the Bloodline. But I see Tama Tonga, this is his first proper match. Solo Sikoa has this whole new boss, leader persona, and Paul Heyman's not really sure what to do with all this. He's not really sure how to interact with these two. He's not really sure what's happening and who's the tribal chief and who's calling the shots and who's running the show. We all know it's The Rock behind the scenes. But I think Solo and Tama Tonga take this one. Obviously, it's going to be by some shenanigans, but I see Solo picking up the win, probably by pinning Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens kind of has this track record of like interacting with the Bloodline to the point where they just hate him with all their heart and they just want to take him out. And so I don't see Orton and Owens winning this. It would be great. I love it. I think it would actually add more intrigue and more of a wrinkle in the Bloodline storyline. But I think Triple H has a vision for where the Bloodline storyline goes. I probably see Jacob Fatu debuting. Maybe I just had that as a prediction. I predict that Jacob Fatu comes in, costs Owens and Orton the match. That would make this an intriguing perspective, in the perspective of the Bloodline winning. I think that's the only way to make it interesting. Otherwise, it just becomes the same old Bloodline cheats to win storyline that we've seen for nearly the last 4 years. So, Solo and Tamba to win, Jacob Fatu to debut, costs RKO the match. Also in tag team action, we have the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. We have the newly drafted to Raw, Damage Control, Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, if you will, defending their titles against the newly formed team of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. This one's a little hard to predict because I think you can go one of two ways with it. Number one, you could just go with the very straightforward, very fan-friendly. Bianca and Jade are the dominant women of SmackDown. They are going to defeat the Kabuki Warriors, and they're going to just destroy them like they did at WrestleMania, and they'll take the titles. And then Jade and Bianca have the tag titles, and they have a nice little run throughout the summer. Or you have Jade accidentally running into Bianca in the match, taking her out. She goes up to hit Jaded. Bianca takes her ponytail, whips Jade in the back, so she can't execute the maneuver. And then whether it's Jade or Bianca, they lose the match against the Kabuki Warriors, and Asuka and Kairi Sane retain. I would prefer that. I think we are going to see Jade and Bianca win, though. So my official prediction is Bianca and Jade to win the tag titles. My concern is that over time, who do they lose them to? You know, because Jade and Bianca are such an OP team. They're presented really strongly, and I don't see a world in which Jade has her first pinfall loss in a tag team match. It would happen in a singles match. And I think they're going to put her on a bit of a run. There's been kind of, rumors and rumblings of some mid-card women's titles. I really hope that they don't go that route with Jade. I want to see her hold like a major title, like the WWE Women's Championship. And I'd like to see her beat Bianca for it. I'd like to see Bianca turn heel, be the one who eventually, if it's not going to be Tiffany Stratton, have Bianca as a heel take the title from Bayley, and then have Jade win that off of her down the road. Or maybe we just see that at the next WrestleMania. We have the story with Bayley, Tiffany Stratton, somebody wins it off of Tiffany down the road, then Bianca wins it, and then Jade. Or maybe Bianca wins it in a multi-woman match. I don't know. But I think I would like to see Jade win the Women's Championship proper, and that could be a good feud for her versus Bianca. I don't know if the title needs to be involved in that feud, though. I'm just wondering how we get there if they win the tag team titles, especially because there's not many teams that make sense to beat them for it. But I'm going to go with Jade and Bianca because it's the safe pick. And then in the main event, we have the undisputed WWE Champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, finally finished the story at WrestleMania 40, defending the title against AJ Styles. And AJ Styles that I'm really digging. It gives me Lone Wolf vibes, like at TNA when he returned and he was wearing the hoodie and it was kind of moody, which kind of led obviously to like the Bullet Club stint he had in New Japan, which if you look at the careers of Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles outside of WWE, they were both in Impact Wrestling. They were both in ROH, where they were ROH World Champions. They were both in New Japan, and they were leaders of the Bullet Club. And now here they're back in WWE after their stints in the Indies, if you will, and have become WWE champions. I think this is probably my easiest prediction. I can't see AJ Styles winning it, especially not now. This reminds me of 2016 after Roman Reigns won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 32 against Triple H. And then he had a couple of bangers with AJ Styles. And then after he had a second match with AJ Styles and he won, Seth Rollins interfered. And that kind of set up the new feud. And then we saw the Shield triple threat and all that stuff. I don't know if we're going to get something like that occurs. I think we are eventually going to build to Cody versus Rock. AJ's kind of a nice placeholder until then, especially if you can get a couple of guys to side with Cody and they go take on AJ and the OC if they were to reform, although that would kind of undo some story beats that occurred in WrestleMania season on the road to WrestleMania. But I do think Cody Rhodes wins this in what I think will be the match of the night. These two are two of my favorite wrestlers of all time. AJ is actually my second favorite wrestler of all time. Cody's been climbing the ranks over the last few years. He's in my top 15. And I just see Cody Rhodes holding on to this title till at least SummerSlam, if not till WrestleMania next year, with Cody versus Rock. Although I think we're going to see Roman versus Rock at next year's WrestleMania. So it would make the most sense for Cody to defend that title against The Rock at SummerSlam. If not SummerSlam, maybe Royal Rumble. He usually likes to come around that time. Although I think he's available around SummerSlam this year, so we'll see. But either way, Cody Rhodes retains the title. Pretty easy to call. And I will be shocked, kind of pleasantly surprised if AJ Styles wins. But let's just be real with ourselves. There's no way that after finishing a 2-year-plus story to win the title off of Roman Reigns, ending the fourth longest title reign in history, that we're going to see AJ Styles win it just a month later. One last little thing. I wanted to kind of look back, and probably in the future I'll do this in a separate video, but just see like what I predicted for this pay-per-view ahead of time. And I had Jay versus Damien, which obviously is happening, so, but that was already called, you know, and already booked, so I can't give myself too much credit. I had Logan versus Orton for the U.S. title. I think that match would have been great. I would have loved to see it, but Logan Paul is not going to France. He seems to have some kind of feud going on with, well, really not anybody, but he was confronting Ricochet and Braun Strowman. So, you know, unfortunately, that matchup not going to happen. I had Bayley kind of defending her title in a rematch against Io. In a gimmick match, and was it Io? It was somebody from Damage Control, but obviously Damage Control's moved to Raw now, and so that's not going to happen, which is totally fine. I actually prefer the storyline happening with Tiffany Stratton. We had a 4-way for the Women's Championship back when Rhea was still healthy and had the title against Becky, Liv, and Nia Jax. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It would be interesting to see maybe Nia Jax be inserted into that triple threat with Bayley, Naomi, and Tiffany Stratton to make that a fatal 4-way. That would be kind of cool. And then, gosh, what else did I have? I had Cody versus AJ, so that was the other one. I called that like ahead of time, so I'm pretty proud of that one. And then the other match was Sammy versus Chad Gable, which I think we're still going to get to, although Bronson Reed's now involved in that storyline, so kind of hard to say where that's going to go, but I do still see Chad Gable taking the title from Sami Zayn at some point down the road. So technically 2 out of 6 ain't bad. Really, it's just 1 out of 5 because Damien versus Jay was already booked. And honestly, I don't know if I could give myself a full point for Cody versus AJ because AJ versus LA Knight was already booked as the number 1 contender match, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense for LA Knight to be the number 1 contender. So, you know, I give myself partial credit, but we'll see how I do in future videos. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Again, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 2,200 subscribers. And make sure you let me know below your predictions for Backlash France. I'll see you very soon.